So yesterday, we talked about mindset and how we all struggle in that crazy mindset. Remember, we were talking about the things that are holding us back. Have you, between yesterday and today, have you paid attention more to your mindset just by us talking about it?
A little bit, but I should say yes. It's kind of interesting because I'm going through um with our church, we're going well, there's a group of us that are going through this Bible, it's kind of a Bible study. And anyway, it's called Freedom or
Hmm.
Living in Freedom Every Day.
Yeah.
Um and we've been going through this. We actually had week 11 this last Sunday, but then due to I guess unforeseen circumstances, like the one pastor that was leading it had to leave like urgently. I don't know. I'm hoping there wasn't like ill will because he was not in our church for maybe 4 months, 6 months. And
Mhm.
like, but anyway, he and his wife, I don't know. It was kind of crazy. I went out of town, honestly, and missed a Sunday. And that was the Sunday that Pastor announced, oh, by the way, this is their last Sunday. Like, and nobody even knew that they were planning on leaving. So I don't know exactly what happened. From what Levi gathered, because he was there and he talked to him, he was like, I got an opportunity I couldn't refuse, kind of thing. So I don't know what happened. But anyway, so we're kind of like, we finished at week 11. There's 12 weeks in the thing, and then there's supposed to be a retreat, and it was supposed to all be planned like in sync, like
Yeah.
um 1 week to the next, and we were going to have the retreat in like 2 weeks. Well, because of this, our head pastor has had to take over, and he's like, I don't have the avail, like that doesn't fit my schedule because he's got a crazy schedule. Because our church that we go to, well, one, we're in the middle of a building project. We're adding on a whole new facility, well, like sanctuary, um, which is about the size of our entire building right now. But anyway, but we do a lot of ministry, like it's online,
Hmm.
and but it's actually we have a lot of churches in like Africa and Pakistan particularly, but throughout the world. There's like lots of churches. And so he's like constantly like keeping in touch with all these pastors in different countries and everything. So he's busy. So anyway, um so we're kind of like in a pause, and I'm kind of like, honestly, I'm like, well, I'll just like go through the whole series again kind of
Hmm.
thing
That's a great idea.
in the midst of, because we're not going to be able to finish it up like the week 12 and the retreat until January now. So we have like 3 months, 2 months. And so I've been going through it, and a lot of it, well, particularly like the first week of it, is about your mindset with Christ. And
Exactly.
and so it was kind of interesting because I was reading, and well, there's a video for week 1, and it's talking about like your mindset, whether you're with the tree of life or you're with the tree of knowledge and of good and evil kind of thing. Which one do you kind of, so again, I'm kind of getting bombarded with mindset stuff right now.
But isn't God
Yeah.
funny like that? That's just what God does, right? But what did I talk about
Yeah.
yesterday? I talked about everything changes in possibility, right? A mindset. Do you
Hmm.
know that maybe there's an opportunity for somebody to step up and take over that Bible?
Well, that's the thing. I don't know that it I don't know exactly because it's technically not pastor that's leading it.
Hmm.
It was the other pastor that left and his wife. It because it's we split into men's group and women's group. And so he and his wife Well, he and one of the other guys in our church, they were co-leading the men's one. And then his wife and like the two men leaders, their wives were co-leading the women's group. So we still have the couple that's like just part of the church. They're not actually pastors per se, but I think pastor wanted to be a part of the actual retreat portion of it, which is like an all day Saturday kind of thing. And that's where it kind of got into um logistics of scheduling.
I
So
get that because that's what I was going to say. Is there a possibility that somebody else could co-teach with those
yeah,
current
because we
people?
still have the other co-teachers like that are still leading it, but I think for the retreat portion, they wanted a pastor as part of it, like not
Mhm.
necessarily the sole leader, but as part of it.
Okay,
Um,
that makes all
so
sense. So today,
yeah,
what we're going to talk about is there's two things. You've been
okay.
writing things down, I hope. These are writer downers, in case I love to call them writer downers, but they are. When you describe is the difference between a possibility itself. We're going to talk about today the difference between a possibility itself, a specific outcome, goal, or option.
Okay.
In the realms of possibility, the open space or mindset, it allows us countless possibilities. Remember what we talked about yesterday? When did you find out you were imperfect? Remember, we talked about that.
Yeah.
Who am I? How many times do we say, first of all, that says, remember what that song, the Christian song, since we're Christians, I'll put it in a Christian perspective here. Send me, God. It is I. Send me, right? Because a lot of times,
Right.
who are I? Who am I? Now, if he could use Paul, who used to be Saul, he could use anybody. So a lot of times we go, who am I? Right?
Well, and even Moses.
But we have to break
Moses
through
asked
those.
that.
We have to break through those strongholds. I've been through Beth Moore with Strongholds. I don't know if you've been through that book. That's another one that's really good. Breaking Free, Beth Moore. But anyway, so today we're talking about the realms of possibilities. So go back to the 5-year-old you or the 4-year-old before you were broken, right? You would skip
Hmm.
around the house. Kids will literally, what do kids do? They'll just jump in the water. And you'll be like, no, 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 wait till we can catch you. But they think they can just jump in because it looks like
Uh-huh.
fun. They're going to go run out in the middle of the street. And you're like, no, 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 get back. But they just want to run off and explore. They have no boundaries.
Right.
Now, they need some boundaries? Yes. I love it that one of my friends would always say, and I know we get taught this in our church, God has law and he also has gospel to keep us in the boundaries, right, of life, right? People say, oh, God doesn't want us to have fun. No, God wants to protect us. So we do have the 10 Commandments to protect us, and we have law,
Yeah.
and we also have gospel, and it's all to protect us. We do that as parents. I get that. But what if we
Right.
broke through, not breaking the rules, so to speak, but breaking the rules? Because some of those rules, why are they rule? Who am I? Who am I to lead this new, not that you're going to lead it, but the living free every day? Why can't I step up and say, hey, I could co-lead, or I could help you guys put together the retreat, or how can I help? Right?
Yeah.
You and your husband are more than capable of doing that. You know what I'm saying? But sometimes we say, yeah, but the pastor wants to do it. But yeah, but yeah, but, and we have all these reasons. We have
Right.
reasons for things that we really want to do. I'm not saying these are bad, but you said I have to put the kids to bed and stuff, so I can't show up to this free coaching thing, which is a reason.
Right.
But there is possibilities in that, right? I could ask my husband to do it, and then I could go to this training, or I could write. There is
Right.
possibilities, but a lot of times we look in our little blind spots because these are patterns. They're the same thing that we always do. And you've heard the saying before. What is the saying of insanity?
Doing the same thing over.
Over and over and expecting different results.
Hmm.
You and I are very logical. You're a math teacher. My degree is in business. I have a minor in accounting and computers. I'm very logical. I like math.
Hmm.
I guess nowadays people are saying we shouldn't teach algebra in school, which is so stupid. The way we're teaching algebra in school, we need to change. Algebra applies to every area of our life. People think it does not. Do you have a home?
Yeah.
Do you own your house?
Yeah.
So you pay house payments.
Yep.
So there's house payments. That would be the X. There's your interest. That would be the Y. Then there's the what is it called? Insurance. That would be the Z. All to come up with your house payment.
Right.
Have car payments.
Same thing. No, we don't have
Your
car
car
payments.
payment plus your interest equals your, but why are we not teaching that in algebra? Why are we not putting the
Right.
logic behind it? Now, me as a programmer, well, I'm not a programmer now, but back when I did, we solved for X and Y's all the time. That's what we did, right? If this, then that, then this. Oh, wait, that's real life too. X and Y
Right.
are if you exercise 3 times a day and you watch what you eat, which is Z, then you equal how many pounds do you lose? See, those are XYZs too.
Yeah.
Anything that's results driven is XYZ, and anything that we're paying at the store. People don't know basic math.
No,
And
they
there's a
don't.
rumor that algebra does not apply to our life. The way we're teaching algebra, nobody sees how it applies.
No, they teach the equations, and I have one class that kind of was like my precursor to getting in with this guy, life insurance guy. Well,
Mhm.
I knew him. He's from our church. We met him a few years ago, and he
Mhm.
helped us like get some things set up for
Mhm.
us.
Mhm.
And I mean, he still goes to the church, so we still see him periodically and everything. But I started teaching for Grand Canyon University back
Mhm.
in May, and it's I don't know if it's because it's a Christian necessarily because it's a Christian school. But the class I ended up teaching, like I thought I was just like a basic math class. Like they said it was like intro to math, which I've taught that a lot at different schools, which is fine. But this is like a whole new this is different than I've ever seen or taught. It actually like there's more statistics in it, but it focuses more on the real life, like real world. So like we go through budget, we go
Yeah.
through insurance, like we go through student loans, which most people have student loans if they're in college. Not everybody, but a lot of them do. And looking at the interest and all of that and how much you're actually going to be paying on these loans. Um, and so it got me thinking more and more like just over the last couple of years, us trying to, we went through the Dave Ramsey program and
Mhm.
we're trying to do, I don't, there's certain things, especially with the credit cards, I'm like, he says that they're not, but there have been times that literally it's like, no, you get extra fees if you don't have a credit card, like on certain things, like renting a car or like whatever. So anyway, I'm like, I'm gonna keep my credit cards like on hand, but I'm still like I'm trying to reduce how much, kind of taking his perspective without actually literally cutting up the cards, pretty much.
Can I tell you a secret?
What?
You can run your debit card as a credit and they don't even know. All you do
Oh,
is
really?
call it a credit card. They say, "Here, can I have a credit card?" Yep, and you give them your debit card, and they run it
I
as.
didn't know that because usually it pops up
That's
that you
how
need
you
to.
don't use credit cards. I've been doing David Ramsey for a long, long time, and that's how you don't use credit cards. But I also, believe in Crown Financial, and if you haven't been through that, it's a different perspective. But they're both on using your credit wisely. So see
Right.
how you're talking about these patterns? What you notice
But
is
it's, yeah, it's kind of like a pattern. I'm like, I would like I'd been kind of thinking about for a few months, like, I think it would be cool to do like some kind of, not exactly what I'm teaching, but like aspects of what I'm teaching at GCU and do like a course for like high schoolers. Like, before you get out of the house, why don't you, and before you get into a whole bunch of debt, why don't you get a little bit of a grasp or a teeny bit of a concept about money? Like,
do you know what my
so,
children had to do? And you might
but
want to do it with your own children. Is they
what?
have generation, what is it? I can't remember generation something with David Ramsey. My children had to all go through David Ramsey. Teenage one.
Yeah, I got a book. I actually need to give it back. I got it from our Dave Ramsey trainers like 3 years ago, and I still have it. I didn't mean
But
to
my
keep it
point
this
is,
long,
yes,
but
there's
it's about teaching kids.
my kids
Um,
had to all go through the babysitting. They all took driver's
mhm,
ed and they all took FPU, right? And then of course
mhm.
I live in Johnson County, rich neighborhood of Kansas. You know that. We have a bad reputation of being rich. I live in Old Shawnee. I'm not exactly rich, but whatever. I live in a good school district. I will say that. But anyway,
Uh-huh.
my children had to buy their own car, save up and buy it. My
Hmm.
kids had to pay their own car insurance. My kids bought their own cell phones back when you still have to buy them, and they have to pay their cell phones as soon as they got
Yeah,
jobs. My youngest learned to get a job at 15. She had to work at McDonald's. Everybody else
right.
didn't get a job till 16, but she's number 4, so she always has to one up her siblings. But I taught them a budget.
Yeah,
See how they're budgeting their money? And I use the Dave Ramsey forms. And then my
yeah.
daughter literally knew how to. I know we don't really use checkbooks now, but in 5th grade, they were teaching her how to balance checkbooks. So, guess what one of her chores started being? She had to write out all the checks for the bills. So, one day I'm in the car and I co parented 4 other kids besides my 4. So, my brother died in the Pentagon 9/11, and his kids
Right.
were 9 months and 2.5. So, I co parented them with my sister in law. And so she's like 10. And so my other kids are what, 12 and 13. So my nephew's like 12, and they're all in the car. And I have my niece, my nephew, and my 3 little ones. My older son, he's 9 years older. He wasn't with us. So we're driving the car, and I'm like, Robin, did you write out all the checks for the bills? And Robin's like 10. And she goes, well, yeah, da, da. And I go, okay, well, you didn't forget about gas and you did this one. And, because she has to go through, I have a whole list. And she just,
Uh-huh.
and of course, I have to sign them all, but she does it through the checkbook. And of course, I have duplicate checks. And so she has to make sure that she moves it right and all that. So Stefan goes, why does Robin, he's like 12, have to pay all the bills? I go, well, somebody has to pay the bills. But it was so funny, but he didn't understand what I was saying. But it was more like, did you clean the bathroom, right? Because that was one of her chores. She had to dust, she had to write out checks. Because in 5th grade, she learned how to write out checks. What's the best way
Right.
for her to learn how to write out checks? Write them
Yeah,
all
it's
out for me.
practice.
And you know what happens? If she screwed up some of the checks, I just go rewrite them. Or it's a learning thing, right? Robin,
Right.
if I send this out, look what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Anyway, Robin started writing checks when she was 10.
That's
Because that
awesome.
is what they were teaching at school. And I was like, okay, that sounds great. Because they only taught this much of it at school. Do you know what I mean? They
Hmm.
just gave them and I'm like, how are we going to learn? But keep practicing. And by the way, if I have all the checks written out, right? So, and
Yep.
one time was
Saves
another
you time.
another thing. We were going on a huge family vacation. All the kids were getting older. This is like we went on a 4-day cruise and we went to Texas. This was like a huge we went to Colorado one time too, but we haven't been on that many family trips when the kids were little. So this was a huge one. Well, I run my own business. So I paid my kids to help me prep way in advance for my business so that I could be gone for 2 weeks. So Kara, what was she? Probably 12 or something, maybe 13. And so she's putting everything in sleeves, and you know how training is, right? So I had it all organized in my binders and all the stuff I do to get ready for training or coaching when I got back. And she goes, yeah, mom's making us do all this because she's way behind at work. And I'm like, no, I'm not way behind at work. We're going on vacation, Kara. And so I
Uh-huh.
have to prep to go. Because how do I
On
take 2 weeks
vacation.
off? So that when I get back, this will all be. And she goes, oh. So see how that was another learning curve? So when you include
Hmm.
your kids, like my kids also, when they were little, they went to private school till 8th grade, but we had lunch. You could buy lunch, but they were only allowed to buy lunch once a week or something because it's expensive after a while. So they had to pack lunches. So they had $35 between the 3 of them. And they would go to Walmart or the grocery store with me and they would do their own shopping. Now they had to all agree on what lunches were going to be. Now they had to have like a fruit and veggie, they had to have protein, they had all these rules, you know what I mean? And so you couldn't just buy cookies, right?
Right.
And maybe if they wanted to buy bars, they found if they bought a multi-pack, now they all had to negotiate. Well, Lucas has the best math skills, so they had a calculator too because they had to stay in their math and they had their own cart. And so they would
That's
come back and it
awesome.
would have to be $35 because that's what our budget was at that time for the week, or
Uh-huh.
for 2 weeks or whatever it was between the 3 of them. So they had to all work together. Now they all have, Lucas always has the takeover because he's the oldest, but Lucas is not the oldest. Lucas has a brother that's 9 years older. Those two used to headbutt over who was the oldest because Matthew left when Matthew was in high school when Lucas went to kindergarten. Matthew went to college when Robin was in kindergarten. So Matthew would come home or be so busy in college, and then he would want to be the oldest, where Lucas felt like he was already the oldest. It was so funny. And they're both men. So you got this.
Yeah.
Yeah. They don't do that as much now because they're grown, but when they were little, it was funny. And I never realized it until one of Kara's godparents, he's a guy. He said, do you realize those two headbutt for because they're confused who's the oldest, because who's the oldest in that scenario, which is too funny because my brothers, we're all from the same family. My mom and dad were married 64 years before my mom died, but I'm the oldest girl, and my brothers are 5 and 7 years older than me. And then we're stair step from there. So there's me, my sister's 2 years younger, my next sister's 2 or 2.5 years. You know what I mean? And then my baby brother's 8 years. But I'm in the middle too, because my oldest brother's 8 years older than me, and my baby brother's 8 years younger than me. So I have a combination of oldest child and middle child. Which, guess what?
Yeah.
I am one of these people that can lead, but I also know how to follow.
Right.
So if you need me to lead, I take leadership quick. I'm very good at leading, but I also don't have to be in leadership. Does that make sense? Where some leaders, they have to be. But that's understanding. I used to love to know people's birth orders because you could find out a bunch about them. But now we have blended families. So there's a lot of confusion on birth orders.
Yep.
With people, which is so funny. But anyway, but our patterns, that's what we're talking about. Those patterns of dating the same type of people. I'm noticing that. But then I realized I've outgrown, I don't need to date the same kind of people because I'm not at the same point in my life. But when I first started dating, I started realizing I'm dating the same kind of guys. And these are not the kind of guys I want to be dating. See what I'm saying? So I've changed my pattern in that. I actually have a write-up of what I'm looking for in a relationship for the second half of my life. Now, am I in a hurry? 2.5 years ago, right, I became single. I told all my friends I will be in a committed relationship, married by the time I'm 60. They're like, what? You're not even wanting to date. And I go, I know. Do you know I just turned 56? Okay. So
well, happy birthday.
Yeah, my birthday was September 23rd. But my point is, right?
Right.
So that's 4 more years from now.
You got plenty of time.
But my point is, that's a great goal. That sounds like a silly goal, but not really.
No.
But I didn't want to be unrealistic. I want to give time for me to heal. I want to give them time for, and then also I didn't want to date for a whole year after. And they're like, why? But I didn't tell guys that. I would say, I'm not dating till May. And they'd be like, why? Well, I didn't tell them why. Because if you tell them it's
because I chose that way.
Yeah, but you don't need to tell people why you have a boundary. Why do we do that? That's just how I'm doing it. And they're like,
that might mix.
Versus that's been a year and, blah, blah. You know what I'm saying? Give me a year. But I didn't say that. I'm not dating anybody till May. And they're like, well, how do we put in our application? Seriously, grown-ass men were saying this. All these people are going to be in line for you. And I'm like, whatever. I mean, I didn't say that, but I thought that, right? But that's not the point. The point is I have a boundary. We can be friends. I'm okay with, meeting up or something, but I'm not dating till. I told guys that. Sometimes it's about our comfort zone, though. We have to get out of that. So what if I said I'm not dating till May, and yet God showed up the right person, right? You know what I mean? And I said, no, you have to worry about that too, right? So even if you have that boundary, maybe you make an exception, right? But sometimes about that comfort zone, we're drawn to what feels familiar. That's why we keep doing. Should I date the same person that I dated when I was 17?
No.
Should I date the same person I got married at 24?
You got to learn from things.
I was married for 30 years. I learned a lot in that 30-year relationship about myself. Don't get married or have kids because it's not about you. You know that. You have kids and you're married. It's not about you.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's unconscious beliefs. Like this kind of person I deserve, or this is what I look like. Did you know what happened recently? I was talking to a guy and he's like, I can't believe you're talking to me. So what are you talking about? He goes, you're way out of my league. What? Are we in high school? But that was his perception, right?
Right.
So then you're like asking why or what, or, but somehow in his beliefs, maybe he is. I don't know. I was just trying to talk to you.
Yeah.
Because to
It's
me,
all
you
about,
have to
like you
figure
said, it's a
that.
matter of perspective.
But I thought that was interesting. Do you see the stuff
Hmm.
I'm getting in the dating world right now? And I haven't been in the dating world for 33 years. My ex-husband and I were together 33 years. We're married 30 years, and now I'm single for the last 2.5 years. Then guys ask me, how have you been single for 2.5 years? What are you talking about? I've only been single for 2.5 years. But see
Yeah.
how that's a different perspective, me and them. And they're like, you probably have high expectations, or you're like me, you're picky. And I'm like, I know what I'm looking for, but I also know I'm working on myself and I got to get myself where I want to be, right?
Right.
Let's just put it in this dating perspective because that's what I'm dealing with. If you want somebody that works out and you want them healthy, should you be working out? If you want somebody financially secure, shouldn't you be financially secure?
Yeah.
If you want somebody educated, shouldn't you be educated? Do you see what I'm saying?
Hmm. Kind of live up to your own expectations.
Yeah, because you can't say I want a guy with great abs that's 6'4", and you know what I'm saying, and a model, and I'm not a model. That's
Yeah.
unrealistic. Right now, we have this big thing going on with Taylor Swift and Kelsey, and I'm like, they're both good at what they do, and they just want to be together. But I mean, for the most part, they're at the same level. Yeah, Taylor Swift makes a heck of a lot more than Kelsey, but that's
But
irrelevant. You know what I mean?
no, that's because she's in a different industry.
But they're both in good shape. They're both, you know what I'm saying, financially secure. They don't need the other person really financially. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But I'm just saying I'm using that as an exception. But that's just because I'm in Kansas right now and I'm so sick of hearing about it, to be honest. But and they always try to find Taylor Swift at the game. But anyway,
You
that's
know, Levi gets so frustrated. He's like, just show the game. Like, I don't care about that girl.
well, and then the bad thing is Mahomes used to be a big deal with his wife. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
And she's done a lot. I don't know if you realize that. She's a big deal too. She does a lot with, she owns
I
a,
see periodic stuff about her,
yeah,
but
she
yeah.
does a lot too, but it doesn't matter. Now the limelight's about Kelsey and them, which, I'm just saying it's okay that they want to be together. Can you all just leave them alone? And now they got engaged. There's a rumor they're going to have a baby. Who cares?
I hadn't even heard that one, but
Oh, yeah,
okay.
because they're getting married. And who cares? That's their business.
Yeah.
But because you're big, it's not. But anyway, that's not where I'm going. Those unconscious beliefs of believing that, right?
Mm-hmm.
That, I don't deserve this. These are the kind of guys I should date. This is the kind of job I should have. Why? Why do you
I
say
don't
that?
know.
This is the kind of
It's
marriage I should have because this is the only kind of marriage I can have because this is what we've always had.
right.
Because how long you been
And
married?
we've been married almost we're coming up on 16.
Yeah, see, that's a long time. So
Mm-hmm.
I've always had this kind of marriage. Why, this is just how it is.
Mm-hmm.
Like when my husband, I was like, what needs to change? I mean, to be in a 30-year, 33-year commitment, we've made changes over the years. We had to.
Right.
And my question was, what do you want now? But if the other person doesn't want nothing or wants to move on or whatever they want, you can't control that. But what are those possibilities in your marriage? I should send you, I actually sent it to a friend of mine, a couple of my friends, and they go, yeah, I only wish. And I'm like, why can't it be that way? Let me read it to you. It's about relationships. Mm, mm. Imagine a relationship where the passion is mutual, the trust is solid, and the comfort is effortless. You're crazy about each other, but still honor each other's need for space. No games, no doubts, just connection, respect, and a whole lot of chemistry. And they go, I only wish. And I go, why do you wish?
Yeah.
Why can't you sit
That's how
down
it
with your
should be.
significant other? Yeah, but why couldn't you sit down with your husband and say, I would love to create a relationship like this?
Right.
You both have a mission for what you're working towards, whatever that is. You write up your own, right?
Mm-hmm.
But why is there not a possibility? I'm working on creating a new possibility with relationships with my children. First of all, they're all grown.
Mm-hmm.
And, my ex thought the divorce would not affect them, but it does.
Yeah.
My
A
parents were
divorce at any time affects kids.
My parents have been married 64 years. I remember when they were separated one time, and mom actually filed for divorce. And dad keeps trying to tell me about this. And I'm like, I already know. And I was 30 and I was devastated. I had my own family. I was doing my own thing. But I was like in
Yeah.
my 30s. I don't know. Early 30s. I don't remember, but I remember that moment. They reconciled and got back together. But I'm like, that's my foundation.
Yeah.
And by the way, my parents don't have the best marriage or never did. But they sort of tried to support each other. They had their own stuff.
Right.
It wasn't the marriage I wanted. I used to always say, I know what I don't want in a marriage by watching my parents. And then I would tell my kids, we're trying to do better. Can you guys do better than us? Because my ex-husband and I both came from bad backgrounds. His was
Yeah.
probably worse than mine, which we don't need to worry about that. But that doesn't mean that we can't create, right? I have 4 amazing kids that I raised.
Yeah.
And I tried to break the cycles. And I believe I did. Did I break them all?
Maybe not, but at
Then I
least
felt
you,
like I failed when this marriage of 30 years fell apart. And I had no control in it, right?
yeah.
Because the other person decided they're done. You can't fix something that both of you don't want to fix.
Yeah.
But
It's
guess what I
just
can?
like making a marriage work. It takes two.
And God in the center of it, which people don't realize, right?
Oh, yeah.
So it takes 3. Sorry to get on my big, right? But it does.
Nope, you're fine.
But my
But
point is
yeah,
the possibilities of how I can have better, healthy relationships with my children. And I'm working on that. And you were asking how they're doing. It depends. I don't know. I do know. But I'm just working on that. And I'm apologizing. And guess what I can do? Guess where I can control? Me. And God's not done with me. Some reason
right.
there's a second chapter of my life. And I need to work on becoming authentically me, a better version of me, and move forward on me. And guess what? That's what I coach and train on all day long. Is to help people with that, right?
Right.
And help people create the life and business that they love. Because life's too short. I almost died back in 2018, 3 days before my son's wedding in Baltimore, Maryland.
I think I remember kind of hearing about
Yeah, my
that.
whole colon shut down. I'm lucky to be alive. Stuff was dead. When they started untwisting everything, they thought I was going to be on a bag. They were going to have to remove part of my colon. 1% chance this could happen to anybody. Some scar tissue blocked my colon from my 2 C-sections. Mind you, my girls were like 16 and 19, and they're the only ones I had C-sections with. So some kind of
Right.
scar tissue got left in there. 1% chance this could happen. And then they thought it was actually a miracle because they didn't have to remove any of my colon. They were dead. Every time they started untwisting it, it was coming alive. They couldn't figure it out. They were a Catholic hospital. They prayed before breakfast and all this. And I was like, it's God. In fact, I actually went to the best colon hospital in Baltimore, Maryland. Was an accident. Everybody's asking my ex-husband, how'd you take her here? And he went, I don't know. It was the nearest hospital. I've never seen the man turn white. You know what I mean? It was so scary. But God's not done with me, is what I'm saying.
Right.
God's not done with you. So what can you do now? What are your possibilities and realms now? You're going into teenage years.
Yeah.
And they're hard. They're
Uh-huh.
hard. And girls can be a little
They're-
bit harder, I think, than boys, but you don't have both. And you were
Nope.
asking how my kids are doing. My girls and I, teenage years started getting in arguments or fights. And my oldest is an introvert on steroids. And one time I was arguing with her and I looked at my husband who's now my ex-husband, but I looked at my ex-husband, which was my husband at the time, and I'm like, I'm going to kill her. I cannot do this. And I said, she is just, oh. And he was like, it's because she's so much like you. She's not like me. She's very much an introvert. She's so hard. She's so strong-willed. She always wants things her way. She does, this and she does that. And my husband smirked and under his breath goes, try being married. He was being smartass. He didn't get in
Mm-hmm.
trouble, but he came that close, right? Made me sort of laugh. And I was like, oh crap. All the stuff I was saying about her, right? And you'll see
Uh-huh.
it in your kids. The stuff that
Yeah.
irritates the crap out of you is probably you in your kid
Yeah.
or in
I've
that other
noticed that a
person
few times.
and or in that other person.
Right.
All the things that you love about your spouse, all the things why you married your spouse, those are going to be the things that drive you nuts.
Yeah, I
Is
can
that
see that.
hilarious? He was so funny. He was like my ex-husband was a hard worker, but that meant he was a workaholic,
Yeah.
right? But I admired that about him. He had his, this clean. So the things you admire about the other person are later going to annoy you. That sounds silly to tell people, but it's true.
Yeah.
Because at first it was cute, at first it was whatever, and then after a while you're like, oh, that's a little excessive though.
Uh-huh.
But is that excessive or did you just change your perspective of it?
I think it's a perspective. You're around it more.
And
So
sometimes you have to go
you
back and go, wait a minute, that's why I admired him.
yeah.
That's why I fell in love with him. That's why I wanted to marry him. Is it at an extreme? Maybe. Or is it just my perspective? So you got to go back and look. What are you doing in your own mindset? Do you know how many thoughts a day we have?
A lot.
And guess how many of them are negative?
Most of them.
Yep. Yeah, very few positive. But all those negative, do you ever kind of capture them? Just because it's a thought doesn't mean it's true.
Yeah. That makes sense.
It doesn't mean it's true. You got to capture them and go, I mean, I have this thought all the time. I was telling this to my coach last weekend. I have this thought all the time. Back what happened to me, I told you what my defining moment in fifth grade when I was reading at third grade. Who am I to do this? I mean, I wrote a book. I'm not that smart. I have dyslexia. That's an excuse. I have anxiety. I have depression. I can't do this. Wait a minute. Is that who I am?
No,
Julie, you've
it's
known,
just how you're thinking.
yeah, you've known me for a long, long time. Your kids were little tiny. And when you look at me, you go, oh, that lady has anxiety, depression, and she has dyslexia. That's not how you look at me.
No,
That's how I will look at myself. How does that make sense?
it's again a matter of perspective.
And you and I have worked with a bunch of restart. That's how we
Hmm.
met each other. We worked with a lot of restart students that are
Hmm.
trying to figure out their life and get their stuff back in line. Maybe they went through a divorce, or maybe they just got out of jail, or maybe they were born into a bad environment. You and I have always helped people like that.
Right.
And then when they tell me, well, I have dyslexia, I'm not that smart, you're like, yes, you are. I'll show you why you are. And we
Right.
believe in them and we tell them that that's not true. Everybody in my family never could. Okay, you're not everybody in your family. You're you. I'm going to help you move from here to there. Haha, name my business, right? But you do that all the time, Julie, with other people.
Yeah.
But when do you do it for yourself?
Good question.
I told you that yesterday when we met, right?
Hmm.
I talk to you the way you talk to you. Would you like me?
Probably not.
You'd be like, that is the meanest person ever.
So it's not only a matter of perspective, but it's a matter of choosing the right words but
Scattering
also
the word and then
thoughts.
reframing them and going, is this even true? I have a
Yeah,
question. The way you talk to yourself, if people talk to your kids that way, what would you do?
I'd get mad.
Can you adjust your
Yeah.
camera just a hair? Because I can't quite see
Yeah.
you. There you
Is
go.
that better?
A little bit down more.
I got all my stuff in the background.
There you go. Now I can see you though. We don't care about your stuff. We care about Julie. But Julie,
Yeah,
if I walked around and talked to your kids the way that you talk to your kids, what would you do? Would you throw me out of your house? Throw me out of your life? Well, guess what?
potentially.
Guess what? You're God's child, and you're talking to God's child that way. So should God throw you out of the house? Throw you out of his life? What do you think
No,
God
I
thinks of?
hope not.
Yeah, but what do you think of God? What do you think that God thinks of the way you talk to yourself at times?
Yeah,
You're his child.
I hadn't thought of it that way before.
So you're talking about God's child, God's vessel. What are you here on earth for? What's your purpose?
To reach more souls.
You're living for God.
Mm-hmm.
God fearfully and wonderfully made Julie. Strength Finders is a really good book. I don't know if you've read it, but it's about finding your strengths. But how much do we work on what our weaknesses are versus finding our strengths?
Right.
We all have weaknesses and we all have strengths. And we're all
Mm-hmm.
actually the body of Christ, if you really think about it.
Mm-hmm.
Talked about your church community. You have your strengths and your gifts, and other people next to you have their gifts and strengths. But God purposely created you to be you. But if we focus on our strengths and develop them, so many times we work about our weaknesses. You want me to tell you something? Praise God. I grew up in the 80s. They didn't know what to do with kids with dyslexia and stuff, right? But now
Right.
in 2025, they have things like Grammarly. They have people for spell check. I have a VA, virtual assistant. I have so many resources to overcome my broken arm.
Yeah.
But they didn't in the 80s, did they?
No.
And I went to college in the 90s. I graduated in 96. Didn't have that either. But you know what I did to graduate high school is what is it called? The tutor that they have for, I went to Park University here, and we have a lot of military people, but we also have a lot of foreign exchange people. So they had the foreign exchange, what is it called? She tutored them. English, what is it called? Yeah.
English language
Yeah.
learner,
I went
tutor.
and found her and she helped me.
Wow.
So I don't have an English language barrier. Well, in a way I do, right? But she helped me
Mm-hmm.
with writing papers. She helped me with, man, I graduated with 3.8 from JUCO, which I'm supposedly not smart, 3.3 from Park University. But my biggest fear was I took programming, I took, algebra, I took all these business classes. I took a lot of classes you would think was hard. I did COBOL and then I did C++, and all those were not my problem. You know what my problem with graduating was going to be?
Reading and writing.
The essay I had to write to graduate. We had to
Yeah.
go in a room and write an essay to graduate about whatever they gave us.
Wow.
And if I didn't pass that, I didn't get my degree.
Yeah.
It was pretty much a pass fail. So I was like, this is an
Wow.
obstacle. So we sat, we prepped, we prepared how I could overcome that challenge. I wrote
Mm-hmm.
all kinds of stuff so that I would be prepared to do it. When I passed it, that was my high five moment. C++ wasn't, object oriented programming wasn't, business, whatever wasn't, economic, all that crap wasn't. It was my
Yeah.
English test. Algebra wasn't a problem. Actually, I hated math until I got into JUCO, and I had a real problem with math. But it was the way they explained it to me, math, in high school. And then, of course, I took a GED because I never graduated high school. But the way math was being explained, I couldn't get it.
Yeah.
And you see that as a math teacher all the time. Sometimes you have to flip the script because
Yep.
what are you doing? You're showing them in a different perspective.
Yeah. A different way. It's all about finding which way works.
But it's also making it relatable. Nobody wants, what is my saying I have over here? I've learned that people will forget what you say, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. Which is important
Yes.
to meet people there. But nobody cares how much I know, but they want to know the perspective of how does it apply to me.
Right.
So if we make math applicable, for example, then people will want to learn it. Me, I was like, why do I have to write this? Oh my gosh, I can't do this. I can't. But to have people believe in me, support me, I really want to get a hold of Sue Jones or something,
Hmm.
but I can't find her. But how popular is that name? You know what I'm saying? But the point is, she made a big impact on me. And as school teachers, my daughter, is the youngest child, and she's a fifth grade school teacher. What a perspective she makes. So,
Yeah.
what traits am I considered to be drawn to? Like when it comes to dating or when it comes to people, like a group of people you hang out with. So, what traits do you usually get drawn to?
Um, Usually, I don't know, like if it's for me, because I am somewhat of an introvert, it's like
Mhm.
people who I can actually feel comfortable around.
And that makes
Um,
sense.
like people that I can actually have a conversation with without like being after like 2 minutes, like I'm done with this conversation. Like, what else do I talk about?
So you
I
like people
it's
like me
like
that are extrovert on steroids that going to dominate the whole conversation. No, I won't
But
dominate.
I mean, that's how some of my closest friendships from college, like it was like random people that I actually felt comfortable talking to, like even when we first met, kind of thing.
But
I
was
don't
it them
know.
that approached you first, or did you approach them first?
I don't remember, honestly.
But
I
look at
know like my best friend from college who ended up being my roommate, um we were roommates for 2.5 years. Like that one we kind of got put together
mm-hmm,
um because I was coming back from Germany and her like my sister-in-law knew both of us
mm-hmm,
and because she was dating my brother at the time and um I forget if she was Cheryl. I don't think she was Cheryl's RA, but somehow she knew her.
mm-hmm.
And so she was like, she knew Cheryl's roommate was moving out at semester and I needed a room. So she kind of hooked us up and ended up being like the best friendship ever. Um, so that one was kind of um different as far as how we met, but we got along just fine because we got along like we could easily talk to each other.
Is this
And
the
actually, it's kind of funny because looking back, I think we actually have pictures from our freshman year before we were roommates that like we didn't really know each other well, but we knew like
of
who
each other?
basically we knew their face, each face, and yeah. But I don't know. It's just
Is this the first time
it's
you've been married, or were you married before?
no. This is my only marriage.
So so when you look at relationships,
Hmm.
let's just not talk about marriage relationships, then which of these actually served me and which ones have hurt me? Like in relationships, I know you've end up in relationships that were not good for you.
Um. Well, the most honestly, the most hurtful has been a relation. Our my in-laws. We've had to basically cut them out of our lives.
Which is hurtful. And that's hard
And
because, yeah,
hmm but I've had some other relationships that I've thought were fine, and then people disappear, and it's like, what just happened? So I don't know.
so I
I
have
don't know
a
what happened on
question.
those.
Have you
Huh?
ever took initiative to follow through with people that disappear?
I have.
Okay.
I've tried to find out and it's like no response kind of thing.
Oh, okay.
But
I do know,
so I'm
you
like,
know, people are always in
huh?
people are always in your life for a reason, for a season,
Right.
for a purpose. But sometimes they're to teach you what you don't want in your life.
Yeah, I kind of look at those ones as well. I guess those were one of the friendships that for whatever reason they were in my life for a period and not from the rest of my life. So, but yeah, probably I mean definitely the most hurtful has been the whole in-laws
Yeah, and
and
I think
even our oldest.
huh?
It said even our oldest, Caleb, like some stuff happened when he turned 18 and he was basically out of our lives for the last 4 years because of it. And I don't know. It's still not really resolved. He's come around like twice in the last year to
Mm.
talk to Levi, but it's still like what Levi's told him is like, look, there's some things that need to be resolved. And the biggest thing is not only did you ditch out on us, but you ditched out on your brothers. And basically, you need to restore that. If you want to restore that relationship, part of that has to do with being around, but he hasn't been around. So, yeah,
That
it's
sounds like
one
a
of
lot
those
of prayer.
things.
You do know that Wednesday night you almost should come because it's from 7 to 9, and it is about relationships.
Yeah,
It's about the possibilities of how you can complete and heal some of these relationships. And there's amazing stories of how people have, changed their perspective with their parents and their kids. And yeah, it's really good. I'm in a relationship seminar. If there's any way you and Levi probably both should come, but it's 7 to 9. But
is it
um,
every Wednesday night or is it just
no,
this
it's just
Wednesday?
this Wednesday night for visitors.
Oh, okay.
So,
I don't know. I'll have to check.
but
Um, because that's pretty much our church time.
I know
So,
there'll be
and
one
my boys like to
coming
go
up,
to
I
church.
think, in a couple of weeks, but this Wednesday is the main. I mean, it's a good one. And I think in a couple of weeks, I get to invite people one more time for free. But, it's a paid training I'm in, but there's coaches in there that help you just come up with the possibilities of how to do
Yeah,
some breakthroughs. Because that's been,
we tried, well, I should say Levi wrote a letter to his parents
mhm.
back in February. Because, I mean, it came down to there was some stuff that was just happening, and it was like drama, 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 ultimately. And um, Levi met with our pastor, and he's like, I mean, he doesn't encourage, especially being that it's parents and
Yeah. Hmm.
kids, but he's like, you have to set some boundaries. And it's like, we've tried to set some boundaries, and they just took it as like to the extreme, and it just stopped being coming around. Like, and we're like, I'm sorry, but from what has happened, particularly with Caleb and even Alex back when he was still alive, like you guys have really done some stuff and you've
What
never
happened to
apologized.
Alex?
Huh?
You lost a son?
Yeah, before I met you,
Okay.
um, when we'd been married 6 months, because Caleb was from Levi's first marriage.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Caleb and Alex were both from his first marriage,
Mm-hmm.
and we were supposed to get them when we got married.
Mm-hmm.
His parents had custody. Basically, he signed his rights over to his parents to protect the boys from their mother, who almost killed them.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then with the agreement with his parents that that he would get them back. Well, then we started dating and we're like, they're like, okay, well, you'll get them back when you get married. It never happened. And then 6 months later, Alex passed away. He was 5. And they kept Caleb from us. So we didn't even get to see Caleb for like 2.5, 2 years after Alex passed. So not only did we lose Alex, we ultimately lost Caleb
Mm-hmm.
at the same time. And that stuff, eventually, when we had Isaac, they started trying to come around again. Like, oh, we have another grandchild that it's almost like they're addicted to, or at least she is addicted to babies. Like, so that's how I look at it. But I think in a way, we also kind of see a lot of, I don't think she's ever been diagnosed per se, but I see a lot of narcissistic tendencies. It's like she wants to be in control, and so she can't give up. So, needless to say, we never got Caleb. Is, he'll be 23 this year, and he still lives with them.
Mm-hmm.
Never went to college. Like, there's just a lot of things. And it's like we tried to kind of sweep things under the rug when we moved down here and try to build a relationship with Caleb. And then
That's what she
my
said.
niece and nephew that were living with them because their mom, Levi's sister, passed away, and they ended up getting custody of the niece and nephew.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but then when Caleb turned 18, it was just like this one thing happened, and he got in an argument with Levi, and um, it just went sour. And there was like, and then of course, Mark and Lori tried to insert themselves into it. And it's like, that had nothing to do with you. Why are you even getting involved? Like, he's 18, he's an adult now. Why are you getting involved? But they like insist on getting involved in like everything. And we finally were like, look, we're done. He's an adult. We're done. So, and we had to put those boundaries. Well, then they took the boundaries as if they couldn't ever see Isaac and Jeremiah. So then they didn't come over or anything. They've missed birthdays, they've missed Christmases, they've missed,
But you just keep
like, don't
inviting.
even send a card kind
You
of thing.
keep inviting them.
No, we've stopped. But they don't, like, it's like they don't even send a card, like a birthday card
Mm-hmm.
or anything saying happy birthday. Like, they've literally, so it's been an interesting, but anyway, I think it was February, Levi wrote a letter to them, and he's like, look, if we want to work on this relationship, fine. It's like, we forgive you, we're done, like, we're over it. But I mean, but we don't trust you. Like, that has to be worked on. Like, I forgive you, I forgive him. I'm like, I have to put that on God because I'm not gonna dwell on that. I'm gonna let God dwell on that. But it's like and Levi sent him a fairly extensive, it was like 3 pages.
Mm-hmm. Sounds like
And
you're dealing with a lot of, relationships.
so, yeah, and I mean, he sent it to him in February, and our birthdays are in March, and they sent a card to him for his birthday, and it basically said, um, "We got your letter, and we're working on a response." That was in March. We are now almost the end of October and have not heard another word.
Well, that's nice that they sent a card.
So, yeah, they sent me a card too. It wasn't very nice, but they sent me a card.
Oh, what did your card say?
I don't remember. I shouldn't say it wasn't, I put it wrong. It wasn't like it was mean. It was almost like a birthday card, like literally just a generic birthday card saying happy birthday. Like somebody a card you would send to your long lost second cousin that you've never met kind of thing.
Okay.
And not necessarily to your daughter-in-law.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm
Yeah,
like,
I
we're
say
good.
relationships and family are the hardest thing. And, there's one relationship that we choose, and that's the person that we marry. So choose that wisely, right? The person you choose
Hmm.
to do your life with. But the rest of them, you're related to them and trying to, like the funniest thing is my kids have to put up with me. I'm their mom. Ha ha ha. But you're also showing examples to your kids. Like it's all about breaking those, what do you call them? It's all about breaking. I'm trying to see my notes here because we're way off notes. But anyway,
Sorry.
it's all about breaking those cycles. A
Yeah,
relation is connection between people, right? It could be romantic, it could be friendship, it could be family, it could be professional. It's built through communication, shared experiences, and mutual influence. You talked about that a little bit. I don't know how we got talking. I know I was new to write, and I know I was trying to get to know other teachers to pull resources. And so I'd go to other people's rooms, and sometimes we had break time, and you just talk to people, right? And that's how we met.
hmm,
And we related a lot because we had the same Christian values. We had the same family values. Those type things were important to us. So healthy relationships usually include, I mean, you might want to write these down. What makes it work? Trust. You talked about if you
yeah,
break trust. That happens in your marriage all the time. You break trust and you have to rebuild. But
yeah,
having people being rebuilt to have that safe and open and honesty, respect, value each individuals. That's another thing that ebbs and flows in especially marriages. Communication,
right.
expressing needs, listening, and resolving conflict. That also ebbs and flows. So if you're writing down these four things that make it work would be trust, respect, communication, and shared commitment. You have to invest on each other's growth. I just asked you. I met my husband, actually, my ex-husband. I met him when I was almost 21 and he was almost 19. Do you think I'm that same person?
No,
30 years of marriage, we had to ebb and flow with our trust, our respect, our communication. I learned so much through that, right?
yeah,
But then we had to have that shared commitment. And I used to always joke, and it was true. At one point, one of us would want to give up, the other wouldn't, you know what I mean? And we would work it out. But this time, one decided they didn't want at all. I mean, they literally stood their ground on, not wanting to work it out. So you can't do
yeah,
it. But what could have you done maybe in the process of trust, respect, and communication, maybe to fix that? Or how can I work on building myself to be more trustworthy, have more respect for others, and do better on communication? Because aren't those things you always have to grow on?
yeah,
And you're talking about your family thing. I used to call my friend Norma Hill. I think I told you this before, and I'd say the kids are doing this, the da 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 da, right?
hmm,
And she'd say, "What is God trying to teach you in this? Like patience. What is God trying to teach you with dealing with? I mean, you married into this family,
right,
and your plan was to have your two older stepsons. And I know you still want Caleb, and I know you still care about Caleb, and I know you still love Caleb, you know. But there's a tough love for adult children or something. You might want to read some of those books and figure out how to rebuild that relationship, like you said, because unfortunately, Caleb's been through a lot. He lost his brother. His in-laws have influenced, your in-laws have influenced him a lot.
hmm,
Parents got divorced. He sometimes I'm sure feels like the third wheel. These are just my perspective of looking at it. Third wheel in your family because you guys have two other boys. Are they more important than he is? Maybe he feels that way, right? His feelings
right,
are validated if they're wrong or right. I told you this, we all got screwed up from our parents and we're all going to screw up our kids.
right,
And you guys have played a part in screwing up Caleb. And Caleb's hurt or whatever we just don't know what it is.
yeah,
And you're still the parents, making you responsible. I know this sounds bad for that parent. He's not responsible. He's still the child. I know you say he's an adult, but you're responsible. Your parents are responsible in a way to try to heal the relationship with you.
right,
Does that mean that you might not take the higher road and repair it yourself with your parents? Like Levi's parents should be fixing it with Levi, but Levi should be fixing it with Caleb. But maybe Levi has to step out of, and try to fix it with his parents. And fixing things with our parents sometimes is just completing it with our parents. I don't know how that's going to look. I have always had a relationship with my parents, even though I haven't lived at home since I was 17, done it with boundaries. And my dad and I are really working on healing our relationship since my mom died 17 months ago.
Yeah.
I told you about my dad.
Yeah.
He's hard. He's a lot. He's Donald Trump on steroids with anger and depression problems. It was a lot growing up with my father. But you know what my dad is? His name's Bob Hemingway, but I mean, I shouldn't say that. But he's little tiny. He's the youngest of four. He's a little version of himself. He's that little boy that got hurt. His parents got married 3 times in the 40s. That's not normal. His mom was divorced. He was adopted twice. He doesn't even have the same last name as his other 3 siblings who have passed on now because he finally, when he was 17, let Hemingway adopt him when he was in the military. My dad had abusive alcoholic stepdads. My dad is a hurt individual. He's human. What happened to Eli's parent, Levi's parents to make them the way they are? You tried to call her, I think we overuse narcissism, which maybe she is. But why is she like that? What were her parents like? What was her childhood like?
Yeah.
When did she find out that she was broken? This is actually just an act. We act based on what we think. We got those thoughts from when we were a child. And God says to love everybody, to accept everybody. So my dad is a little broken boy. Eli's parents are a little broken girl, a little broken boy that tried to raise, Levi. And then some reason they've tried to do it with their grandkids as well. Did you ever look at it that way?
No.
Isn't that a whole different perspective?
It is a different perspective.
And was counseling a big deal when our parents were alive? Growing up and stuff.
No.
Remember how I talked about they didn't know what to do with me with dyslexia in the 80s? How about in the 40s? What did they do with how many people got divorced? How many came from broken homes? How many people maybe had some kind of trauma? And what they do about it? Put it on, just rub some dirt in it and move on. So they don't have the resources that we have now.
Right.
I've been in counseling my whole adult life on and off. Actually, pretty much on most of the time, and some kind of personal development to be where I'm at today, to break the cycle of what I came from.
Yeah.
And do you know that God actually, when Levi was born, he was fearfully and wonderfully made, and he was purposely put in that family at that time, for that season, for that purpose. So I know that about me. Maybe I don't get what I need from my family, but I try to give what they need from me with boundaries. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because that's what God calls us to do. We always say we have to go make nations of all people. Well, it starts in our own homes.
Yeah.
I'm praying for you. I love you. We care about you. We would love to have a relationship with you. Right? Maybe you have to meet at a coffee shop, and then when they're not being correct, you have to leave. I used to meet my parents at IHOP so I could leave. And I always have a reason to have to leave. We have to go to baseball. We have to, And I don't hang out. I didn't hang out for like more than an hour or something. But if you just go put different glasses on and look at it from a different perspective, watch how it would change things with you, right? I think if there's any way that you and Levi, or just even you, but it'd be better if both of you could be there on Wednesday night, you guys would really, I think it's funny. This is all like a God thing that you're even in this mindset that they're talking about relationships. That's exactly in healing them. But I know church is very important. I would say go to church. But this, you might want to, I don't know what time your church thing that you go to is. So probably the same time, but you'll have that will help you.
It's pretty much the same time.
Yeah, but you will have, that's tomorrow night. And you will have coaches that will actually try to work with you with some of these problems.
Okay.
Emotion. Love is deep feelings of affection, caring, and attachment. So it pulls us towards where there's happiness that matters to us. All of us just want to be valued, heard, and listened to. So it sounds like your mother-in-law finds value with rescuing, taking control, which my mom was a lot like this, by the way. Rescuing, taking control. But that's how she feels valued, heard, and loved. And she feels like she has to have, to me, this is all my perspective of what I've heard from your story, but I could be wrong. But I feel like she feels like that's how she has connection. I
Yeah.
don't know where she learned that from. But love isn't always a feeling. My husband said he fell out of love with me. That's very hurtful if you think about it. But how do you fall out of love with somebody? Do you love Levi every day? You choose to love Levi every day, unconditional. I used to do this joke with my husband when I'd be really mad at him. I'd be like, "You're lucky I love you." Because right now I want to kill you.
Yeah.
I didn't say it. It was more of a nice way to say.
Right.
Because if you've been in any relationship for a long time, I mean, you unconditionally, some reason, love your kids. I will say that. Your spouse, you unconditionally love them, but you don't always feel like loving them. Just like Caleb, you unconditionally love him right now, but you might not feel like loving him. But
Yeah.
you love him. That's a choice. He's my child. I mean, God put you in Caleb's life.
Yeah. He did.
But Caleb needs to know I love you no matter what. I don't agree with what you're doing, but I want you to know that your dad and I love you no matter what. What is it? 1 Corinthians, what? That love is patient, love is kind, love is forgiving. We always like to read that at a wedding.
Right. But it
Yeah, but how
applies
does that
even
apply to your
every
kid?
day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it applies in all your relationships. Or are you showing up in all areas of your life? Patient, kind, forgiveness, sacrifice. Are you acting like Jesus? What would Jesus do? Come to my day. Remember, he told the guy in the tax collector, come down and come to mine.
Yeah. Zacchaeus.
So is there a happy medium? Where's the possibility of restoring that relationship, even if Levi doesn't have the one he wants with his parents, but at least to have one, right? I've
Right.
never, ever, I will tell you, I never have ever kept my kids from my parents. I used to let them spend the night over there till I realized that wasn't a good idea. Now my kids are choosing, because of things that my dad's done, not to come see my father, which I don't like, but he sort of creates that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because he'll say, my daughter's living, now she's married, but she was living with a boy. So she comes over. And of course, we don't agree with that, Julie, you and I. And she knows I don't. But dad wants to talk about that the whole time. And she goes, she's very introvert and quiet and shy and never sticks up for herself. And she goes, Papa, I hear what you're saying, but I'm a grown adult and I got to do life the way I think it's for me. For her to even say that, that's not her. I was proud of her for saying that. Am I proud that you're living with somebody? But she's taking ownership for what she's doing, right or wrong. And she
Yeah.
told dad with a bound. That wasn't not a boundary with my dad in a very respectful manner. But my dad thinks you need to, like right now, my dad thinks I need a man.
Well, and that's why, like, a lot of it's not that we said that they couldn't be part of their boys' lives, but we're like, we have to have some boundaries. Like, you
That's
guys
why,
are
hey, if
cross,
you need that,
and that's how they took it. Like, the boundaries were like, it was kind of like an all or nothing thing, and it's like, no, that's not what boundaries are, but that's your choice. Like,
I don't know if your
it,
pastor, if they would sit down with your pastor and you and them and try to, work out a plan, but we don't
I
know.
don't know.
But I would love it if you guys come tomorrow night because I think it's funny. It's all about relationships and stuff. It's so funny. That's why I'm in this 12. It's a 12-week deal I'm doing. But over time, love becomes less about butterflies and more about commitment. Remember, I read you chemistry and butterflies. Remember when you supposedly kiss and there's fireworks? And by the way, I'm 56 years old. I am not looking for that in a relationship. Is that funny?
You don't want the whole foot pop like on Princess Diaries.
But back when I was 20, that's what I was looking for.
Yep.
And my husband, I mean, he could, he could even now, I mean, not now, but before we got divorced, he could hug me and everything would just be okay. He was just always like that, like he was my safe place, right? So
Mhm.
that's what I was looking for. And I'm still looking for that. I'm not saying I'm not, but we don't
Right.
need the butterflies and this thing said something about chemistry. Yeah, you have to have chemistry, but I'm looking for more of a best friend, somebody that's walking their faith life like I'm walking, that's
Mhm.
financially, in a good and has their crap together, right? And enjoys
Right.
some of the things I like doing. You don't have to enjoy everything I like doing. I don't want to go fishing. Do you know how many guys I find out they want to go fishing? Maybe I'll go try it with you, but I don't think I'm going to get into it. And that's fine. Go fishing.
Right.
We're here speaking at a conference that you don't want to be at the conference I'm at. I'll be over here. I like to walk trails and stuff. I'll be over here walking trails if that's not what you like. But if we have some of
Right.
the same things, but the most important thing is, right, for the same values, Christian beliefs, stuff that I stand for, right?
Yeah.
Spirituality. A bunch of people say I'm spiritual when you ask what they're, or agnostic. Oh my gosh, I cannot believe it. But spiritual, what does that mean? I'm looking for somebody who's a Christian. Does that mean? And one guy goes, I believe in God, but I don't believe Jesus. Jesus was just a good servant. And these are people I'm having conversations with right now. And I'm like, yeah, I don't think we're equally yoked then.
I have to tell you, it made me think of, I don't get on Facebook a ton,
Mm-hmm.
but periodically I'll get on and I'll scroll through and people are like, what is it? Prayers and positive thoughts, please, or something like that. Like when there's a need. And I'm like, what in the world does positive thoughts have to do with anything getting accomplished? I mean, I don't mean that in a bad way, but I
We're
mean,
talking
if
about
prayer,
mindset right now, though.
but I know I'm not saying about like that, but I'm just saying like if there's a medical need, I just that personally
Prayers
kind of
and faith,
drives me nuts.
right?
I'm like, no, prayer is what
And faith.
helps. It's not just positive thoughts that to some unknown being. No, you pray to God. That's just kind of one of my pet peeves.
Well, I get it, but our life is changing.
But
Do you know
yeah,
that friends with benefits is a thing?
is what is?
Friends with benefits.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of it.
Well, you should try to be out in the dating world and somebody's like, yeah, I'm looking for friends with benefits. I had to figure out what the heck you mean. No, thank you.
Yeah,
And then
basically
I go to work, I'm working up at Lake Quivira, and there's some people that, yeah, I'm not in a relationship, but I have friends with benefits. I mean, you're committed. You're not going to be with anybody else, but if somebody else comes along that you really want to date, then you'll probably, eventually break up when you want to be intimate with somebody else. But, or
yeah, it's
Or
all
I'm
about
married and
having
they're
that
looking
when you
for a
want
side,
whenever you want it.
I'm married and my wife and I want to interview you for a third, wheel thing. It's interesting, right? So our life has changed.
Yeah.
We were talking about words and how words, like, how do you know that that's a ceiling fan that's above you? Somebody told you when you were a baby that was a ceiling fan, but we named it a ceiling fan. Who's we? When you were a baby, you didn't have any words. People
Right.
taught you what things were called.
It's how we learned the English as opposed to another language.
But why is it English like that? Why is it a fan? If you call it something else, it'd be something else. Look at how words have changed. Remember gay? Used to mean
Yeah, it used to
happy.
be a good word.
It still means happy sometimes, but people don't see it that way. And how many now we are what pronouns? Try teaching
Oh,
English.
that drives me up the wall.
Them and they don't belong, mean them and they. There's two meanings for it now. Somebody just decided that we were going to change that.
Right.
So why can't you decide that you're going to change or transform something in your own life? Heller Keller, she said she lost, I mean, she couldn't hear or speak. I don't remember the saying. I could send it to you. But she
Hmm.
basically said, all I'm doing is eating and sleeping. She had nothing in life. So she had to use like Braille. She had to learn how to communicate without being a hear or see. You have a son that's, I mean, he has hearing aids now and they fixed his hearing, right?
Hmm.
And you were so excited when he first got that hearing aid and could hear a sound.
Yeah.
At least he could see the whole time. She couldn't hear or see.
Right.
But then she created possibilities. But you had to find out a different form of communication. You could use Braille. She could write. She had to figure out how to live in the world with no hearing, no seeing. Back when we didn't even know what to do with that, right? Like there wasn't hearing aids, there wasn't other opportunities. But how many opportunities and possibilities do we have today?
Numerous if we take advantage of them.
Yeah, I mean, we can literally decide the DNA of a baby before it's born. So then we decide if we want to keep it or not. I mean, that's crazy.
That's very crazy.
And we're also deciding at this point in our life who is worth saving or helping and who's too old for that. Right?
Yeah.
Your kid's going to be deaf if you have them. Maybe you shouldn't have them. Maybe we should abort them. Those are the choices that we have nowadays. But somebody created those possibilities. And then we try to fight against those possibilities. But no, making a stand for what you think, like standing for abortion, standing for seniors should not be just euthanized. They say we don't euthanize them, but do you know that animals nowadays have more rights than people? Would we ever abort some, like we have too many puppies and we have too many cats. We have way too many cats and dogs. So when a dog
Yeah.
gets pregnant, why don't we just abort the litter? When a cat gets
Especially
pregnant,
especially like strays.
why don't we do that? People would be pissed off if you did that.
Yeah.
But it's okay if we do it with a baby. Especially the single moms or the people that can't take care of them or the strays, as you just called them. They act like they're just strays, so we should abort them. So
I meant stray
I have an
cats. I
idea.
did not mean humans.
This is a horrid idea, but I got a great possibility to take care of the puppy and cat population. We should be neutering them all, which I get. But maybe we should just abort the babies that they're pregnant with and then neuter them. We'd fix the problem. Now, animal right activists would be all over that.
Yeah.
But what about the human right activist?
People say they think wrong.
But it doesn't make sense,
I
right?
don't get it. No, it
When I
doesn't
start
make.
putting it in that perspective, all of a sudden people are like, wait a minute, I never looked at it that way. Did you ever look at it that way?
No, but it does. It makes a valid argument in a way,
Exactly.
honestly. Yeah.
I
It's
double
like
dare
who
you and I don't really dare you, but go try doing that and see how mad people get. Start your own thing where you can afford puppies and kittens to not overpopulate.
I'd probably lose my other college that I work for is an environmental school. I'd probably lose
But
all
there's
my
a lot
students.
of money in the abortion industry.
Oh yeah.
There could be a lot of money in aborting puppies and cats and fixing them.
Yeah, that's crazy to
But we
think about.
abort these babies and we don't fix the people afterwards so that there won't be more abortion. I don't know. It's just a different perspective. I'm probably going to make a bunch of people mad. But that's not what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to say, look at it this way.
Yeah.
And I literally am like a unicorn out here dating. Do you know that? I'm not Norm.
Who is Norm?
People that want to have threesomes, people that want to have friends with
No,
benefits.
that's not Norm. That's the devil.
But I'm right, a child of God, and I have different standards than other people
Mhm.
I heard dating. And sometimes I feel like a minority, like a unicorn. I'm like, and people are like, oh, you've never been with all these people and you should experience life. You should. No, I, no. They're like,
No.
what do you mean, no? I've been married my whole adult life. And I'm a little old fashioned in that and what my beliefs are and stuff, right? Let's wait till we get married to have sex, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I'm a unicorn out here and believe in commitment and don't believe in divorce. I've been divorced twice. Once I had to get divorced because it was a really bad abusive situation I was in. You know, I told you that when I was similar
When
to
you were
what you
younger.
was saying. When I was 17, I moved out and I didn't believe in being married and I needed a guy, I thought. So I got married, not because I was in love. Now, this last time I got married because I married love of my life and blah, blah, blah. And he wanted to make sure that we got married in the church so we'd stay married. And,
Mhm.
and there was butterflies and fireworks and, the whole shenanigans. And I don't regret marrying him, even though 30 years later we got divorced, which didn't like, right? It took me
Right.
to accept it because I stood in it for my marriage. For a whole year, I stood for my marriage till my divorce went through, which is another. People thought I was crazy. My sister's like, take off your rose colored glasses, do that. No. And I wore my wedding ring the whole time.
Yeah.
That's not, you're saying it isn't, it should be norm, but it's not norm. But I had to do what I thought was right as a human being, you know? So, and the hardest thing was to take my wedding ring off and realize, but I didn't. What'd you say? You were praying for somebody to live? I was praying for my marriage. I'm still praying for my ex-husband, right? Not for
Hmm.
us to reconcile, but just for him to be, whatever God wants him for him, not, because he's not my enemy. He's a great guy.
Yeah.
Some people have told me I've only heard his, and I'm like, you're not going to hear him. I don't want, there's nothing. We all have our ups and downs. We all have our, right? And the only person I can work on is me. Now, what did I do
Right.
wrong in the marriage? A lot. What did I do wrong in my life? A lot. What do I need to work on? A lot. And instead of talking about somebody else, we need to talk about what can we do and what do we need to do? Even with you say Levi's parents are difficult. Well, I think Levi's probably difficult.
Yeah. That's true.
You guys think Caleb's difficult, but I think you guys are probably difficult. And I'm not trying to be mean, but you are.
Yeah.
We're all difficult. That's why I say that.
It makes sense. Like they always say, look at it through somebody else's eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the hardest thing in that situation is like I don't know how to see it through their eyes. Like I don't know how I could be given my grandkids and refuse to give them back to their parents. Like I don't understand that mentality at all.
But there's favorites in my family. There's a lot of favoritism going on.
Oh, they do definitely have favorites.
My
That's for
parents did that, and some of my siblings do that with their kids, and I don't understand. You know what I told my kids growing up? The favorite one is the one's behaving today. Julie, you met me because how much do I talk about? I mean, people used to say you overly talk about your husband and your kids. I do. I
Yeah,
was madly in love with my husband, and my kids are phenomenal. And my ex-husband is still an amazing person. Is he with me? No. Is he doing his own thing or whatever he's trying to figure out? Yes. Would I love to have I want to heal that relationship too. And I, that's going to take time, right?
hmm
Because it's a lot. but not, I don't want to be his best friend again. I don't want to be in a marriage with, that's not what I'm talking about. So what is, I can't say these, but there's Greek words for love. There's the Eros or Doris. Help me out, lady. Come on.
Eros.
Eros. Yeah, there's Eros, which is passion, romance, touch. Then there's the Philia. Philippi, what is that? That's the friendship and the compassion. Agape,
Agape love, yeah.
unconditional self-love. There's stored, that's family love, natural affection. And then there's the Pragma, that's the enduring, the long-term commitment.
Let's see.
Pragma.
Pragma.
Yeah, I should put you know what I should do is just put them in the chat for you. I know I'm bad at pronunciation. That is not my strong suit. And I do a lot of public speaking, and then I'm like, okay, some words I can't pronounce, and I don't do it perfectly. Does that mean I can't do it? No. Here you go. I'm going to put them in chat for you. And you can read them. Read them in the definition, please.
So yeah, Eros is passionate romantic attraction. Philia, friendship and companionship. Agape is unconditional, selfless love. Storge, family love, natural affection. And pragma is enduring or long-term commitment.
So see how there's 5 different stages of love, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like, I love you, you love me. I'm making this up. Well, you do love me, but I'm just going to tell you. No, I'm just joking.
Yes.
But you love me at the philia, right? The friendship and compassion. You see what I'm saying? You don't love me at the romance and attraction. And
Right.
maybe we're not at the agape love, unconditional self-love, because we're not like best friends. Store, the family natural, I can't say these, but the natural affection. See how you can look at your relationships? Like your best friend, where are you at with her, right? You might be all the way at the store up because you guys are more like family love and natural affection and your unconditional selfless and your friendship and compassion.
Right.
And sometimes there can be attraction. I have one of my best friends, Linda Wilson. She's going to love I'm bringing her up. But I always joke. She's older than I am. And I'm attracted to her, but not physically. But she always like wears all purple. She wears all pink. She wears, and then she's African American. So she does her hairstyle and she puts cute bows in. And oh my gosh, she's so, I find it very attractive and I love it. And I always joke that when I grow up, I want to be Linda Wilson. If I started showing up and had my hair all with bows and I did all that, which I could do that, right? I'd have to change my look. That wouldn't be authentically me.
No.
You might say, wow, Sherry has totally became a totally different person.
Yep.
Now, are there things that maybe you find attractive for me? Like we always wish, like I have do you see this is my natural curls, right? I have very curly hair. It drives me nuts. You probably see my hair when it's like this. I tell people you never know about my hair or my attitude. It depends on how I wake up. Ha ha ha. Last night, one of my friends was over here to watch the game and she's like, I love your hair. And I'm like, well, I just washed it and I put a lot of product in it. But I couldn't just say thank you. Did you hear that? I just washed it. That's what we do too. Why do we do that as women?
That's true.
Like if you told me you love this shirt, what would I say? Oh, well, I got a long time ago at Dress Barn and, I just had it in my closet and I thought I'd put it on today. Instead of, oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Needs to know all the extra. Why do we do that as women?
It's those excuses.
But you can't even take a compliment.
Yeah.
It's like I've had a lot of guys tell me I'm pretty. You know what I start saying? Well, thank you so much. That's just called accepting, because if I say, well, really, I'm not that pretty and I'm downplaying what they just said. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But we do that. And last night I didn't need to tell my friend I just washed my hair and I put product. Why did I do that instead of, well, thank you? Which one is more empowering for the person and for me?
The thank you. And it's easier too. Well, I should say, because it's less
I
words.
mean, I'm
It's
pretty proud. Look
easier.
at my hair. I think it looks pretty cool today. And last night it looked pretty good. So when she said that, I was just like, well, thank you. Right?
Yeah.
Or I noticed that too. Thank you for noticing that. That would have even been a more, right? Because I'm so happy when my hair works with me. You know? I'm so happy when my kids work with me. So happy with my grandkids. My grandson, I will tell you, people think I let him do whatever. His name's Simon. And so we play Grandma Says. Grandma says you're amazing. Grandma says you're the best. Grandma says you can do anything. And the kids think, I think Simon's perfect. And Simon gets away with almost anything. But if he acts like a brat, he doesn't get away with it. He's a boy. He's 4. He also, I believe, has ADD on steroids like his dad. So sometimes he'll just hit me because he's watching TV and he's all excited or he over wrestles. It'll hit me and I'll be like, Simon, you can't do that. Do you know he almost
Yeah.
cries? Because when does grandma say, Simon?
Right.
Grandma doesn't do that. Parents do it all the time. I sometimes tell Simon, we can't do that because parents say we can't. Is that funny? Instead of saying,
Yeah.
I'll be like, he'll be like, he doesn't do it now, but when he was 2, he'd play in the cat water. And I'd be like, I know that fountain water looks really, really fun, but parents say we can't do it, so we can't play. Let's go do something else. Is that funny? And the parents will be like, what? I just told them no, but I didn't tell them no. Parents say we can't do it, Simon.
The blame game.
I just try to be the funnest grandma ever. But every once in a while you do something and I'm like, absolutely not.
Right.
Like right now, he has a 5-month-old I have a granddaughter, she's 5 months old.
Hmm.
5 months old. She turned 5 months on the 12th of this month. Yeah, she's gonna be 6 months. That's just crazy. Anyway, but she's 5 months. So anyway, I was up there and she's 5 months. Well, he will come up and talk to his sister, but every once in a while he gets too rough with her, you can imagine.
Yeah.
And his dad's always like, oh, we need to keep Simon away from, and he freaks out if I'm holding. He doesn't understand that the mother bear and me, I'm not going to let anything happen to Junia. But when he violates space with Junia and I, he gets in trouble with grandma.
Yeah.
So only like if he runs in the middle of the street, you think I'm not going to say Simon? So this is hilarious, okay? The way we discipline is different nowadays, by the way. We always change this. So the wording is what we do. This is going to be a wording thing. You're going to love it. So I had to entertain Simon all day Saturday so they could clean the house. And when I wasn't entertaining Simon, I had Junia because they're both pastors. And I could have cleaned the house, but I don't know what they want done and so it's easier. And plus, I'm grandma. Do you think I want the grandkids? So we went to the library for an hour and a half, Simon and I, and he was doing good, but he has ADD. So we're moving from one thing to but we got to pick this up, Simon, before we go here. And then he had to wash hands and go potty. And so he had a meltdown and he did something. I don't remember what he did. And he would not listen to me. And I go, I'm going to put you in timeout, Simon. He goes, Grandma, we don't do timeout. And I said, well, I'm going to call your dad or grandma's going to do something. And he says, no, grandma, he went and did what he needed to do. So anyway, I realized, you know what Matthew does? He doesn't do timeout, or Amy. They tell him he needs a break. They take breaks and then he has to breathe. And you know what I'm saying? Which is another form of timeout, but they teach him what he should be doing in timeout. Does that make sense? It's just the new way of learning. But anyway, I get in the car and then we, of course, do snack outside. We do all these other things, but Simon's very smart. So he gets in the car and I go, oh, yeah, we had fun. And then he goes, yeah, but Daddy, I got in trouble with Grandma. I didn't tell. But how often do you get in trouble with Grandma, Julie? I mean, Grandma doesn't. Grandma always says parents say, right? Grandma doesn't want you to get in trouble with Grandma. And he goes, you did? So then I tell Matthew what happened. Matthew goes, Simon, we have to listen to Grandma. And sometimes the way Grandma deals with something is different than the way Mom and I deal with it. Basically saying if Grandma would put you in timeout. But I already knew when he said, I didn't know this, but when I was in the car, I was like, wait a minute, I still should have put him in timeout. It's just a different way that they do it. I should have said, okay, Simon, we're going in the bathroom. We're going to stay in here for 5 minutes and we're going to breathe. See what I'm saying?
Right.
But you don't call it
Right.
timeout. It's all about the wording. Is that funny? But they just do it in a different way. But me, I just went into the, I'm gonna, and then when you tell me we don't do timeout, I said, watch me whap your butt and put you in timeout. But I'm not going to whap his butt because you're not allowed to whap kids' butts nowadays. And I'm grandma, so I don't want to come across as the authoritarian at all.
Right.
Because I'm fun. And grandma only sees you a couple times a year. So I'm not going to leave the, I did say, I will call your dad or grandma's going to do something.
Yeah.
Oh, but you deal with that with teaching. If you're teaching younger kids, I'm sure you deal with that. They'll say, you know, my mom and dad let me, whatever they do. I mean, my daughter deals with that with fifth graders all the time. But I
Oh,
thought it
yeah.
was funny when he was a little, you could have called him a little sassy, but he was stating a fact. We don't do timeout. You do know I almost wanted to.
Smack him.
Mm-hmm. But
The Bible says that.
was that disrespectful or was that just a matter of fact at their house? It
It's
was
a matter of fact. So,
But my response was, okay, Simon, grandma's going to call your dad or she will do something.
right.
He's like, I'm just looking at him like, I've been a mom for 36 years. Don't mess with me, little boy. And I've dealt with little kids that are not my own kids. And I've actually worked, you know, like Wyandotte County mental health with kids that have issues. I mean, I can pull a rabbit out of the hat, Simon. But I didn't realize what they did. You know what I mean? I did, but I forgot at that moment because I was mad.
Right.
And I was even madder when I gave you a boundary and you think you're going to be. And at first I was like, that's really disrespectful. And then I go, in my mind, I go, is that disrespectful or is he just making a point?
Right.
But my first response was that was very, but his dad did say, grandma does things differently. And when you're with grandma, you need to listen to grandma. And the way grandma deals with it is different than us. So he backed me up. And Simon goes, I mean, Simon almost wanted to cry when he almost got in trouble with me. And Simon almost wanted to cry. And his dad said that to him, you know, because he's a overall pretty well behaved, you know, child. Love is often seen as a higher human experience. The focus that connects us, softens us, and transforms both the giving and the receiving. Love is when, I talked about this, don't be married or have kids, but love is when someone else's well-being becomes as important to you as your own. Levi's well-being is just as important to you as your own in your marriage. But it's not more important than your own. That's the problem. Because women, we sometimes think it's more important than we are. Remember Simon said, we don't do timeout? Matthew is 2.5. Matthew is a pastor. Matthew is not a perfect child. My younger kids sometimes try to tell me that I love him more because he's a pastor. I don't. I'm proud of all 4 of my kids. And Matthew was a challenge at times growing up. So he's 2.5. And I'm a single mom, going to school, working, and have a baby. And I'm not feeling good either. And I got like a exam or whatever tomorrow. And he's acting up. And he was 2.5. And he kept acting up. And I didn't know what to do with him. I actually have 2 stories about this. One was he wouldn't stay in his room for timeout. So I put myself in my room and locked it and put myself in timeout. And he's bamming on the door, yelling at me. And I'm like, no, you won't stay in timeout. I'm in timeout. And he goes, you can't be in timeout. You're mom. And I'm like, yep, I'm in timeout. As long as he's banging on the door, Julie, I knew where he was.
True.
I didn't abuse him. I didn't throw him through the wall like I felt like. I didn't do anything other than give us some space. So technically he was in timeout because he couldn't get near his mom.
That makes sense.
But it was just, what was I supposed to do? I was overloaded. And I don't have any backup. It was just me and him.
Right.
Another time he got himself in trouble and I don't know what he did. He was around 2.5 then and I need study and I had all these things going on and sometimes I was sick or whatever else. And I'm 20, you know, and I'm young. I guess I was 22 at this time or something, but I'm young. And he got in trouble and he had to go to bed with no story. We said prayers and everything went story, and we put him to bed with no story. He comes out, by the way, when he was 2.5, he wanted to be a pastor. So he comes out of the room, he puts his hands on his hips, and he goes, I want you to know that you're not doing your job as a mom. I said, oh, I'm not? And he goes, no, you're not. I said, okay. He says, you did not read me your Bible stories tonight, and you're supposed to teach me about Jesus, and you're not doing it. I said, okay, Matthew, I will have to deal with that. Get your butt back in your room and go to bed. You will not get any Bible stories tonight. What the heck? Flipping the script on me?
Yep.
Matthew is also my child that I had to tell him when he was probably in 5th grade he could beat me at Bible trivia. He'd be reading his Bible when he's supposed to do his math. He'd be reading his Bible when he's supposed to clean his room. He'd be reading his Bible when, right? You're thinking, oh, he's reading his Bible. Matthew, if you don't put that Bible down right now and clean this room, I'm going to take your Bible and all the other Bible study stuff out of here, and you need to clean this room. What the heck? Is God going to hit me with lightning? Remember when Jesus went to the temple, though? But I just thought, these are crazy, right?
Right.
Another thing Matthew did is I thought I needed to be a perfect parent. First-time parent, young parent, had him at 19. He's 2. He needs to be potty trained. So I fought and fought and fought with potty training him. Finally figured out I couldn't potty train him. I'm like, fine, just stay in diapers the rest of your life. I don't even know. So I gave up on him. So he's about 3. And by the way, he used to play in the toilet. I'm telling all these Matthew stories. I have no idea why. So I'm picking on one kid. But anyway, he was like 3. And he's in the bathroom. Well, you do know they play in the bathroom. They play in the toilets. Matthew Edward, get out of the bathroom right now. Stop playing in the bathroom. He comes out. His tears are rolling down his eyes. He goes, I was just going potty, Mom. He just randomly started going potty on his own. Those are times when I felt about this big, right, as a parent. But sometimes you got to flip the script. And like I said, timeout was how I raised Matthew. Simon, they do. What is it? You need to take a break. Go to your room and take a break. Isn't that timeout?
Yeah.
Go to your room, take a break, and breathe. I'll be in there in a little bit. We need to take a break now versus timeout. So all I had to do is change that wording. And as I was giving you all those stories, I had to change my perspective of the situation in different ways, right? But that is when someone else's well-being, but like I said, us as women have to be careful that we don't, this is true. Life is when someone else's well-being becomes as important to you as your own. When I locked myself in the bedroom, whose well-being was I taking care of? Matthew's or mine?
Yours.
Sort of both, though, right? He needed to be in timeout. Yeah. I could have locked him in the bedroom. Maybe. I think I tried and he came out. You know what I mean? But I came with a different perspective. But I didn't take care of my own well-being, put my own air mask on so I could go back out and be the best mom. Yeah. But did I worry about his well-being at the same time? He's pounding on the door. I know right where the 2-year-old is. So you might say, oh, that's really irresponsible to leave a 2-year-old in an apartment all by themselves and you're locked in your bedroom. But no, he's right there banging on the door.
Yeah.
So I knew where he was. Just like with Matthew, he wanted me to worry about his well-being of, I didn't get my Bible study and you're bad. And I could have took that as what a bad mom and caved in and said, oh yeah, I should teach him about God. No, you need to go to bed because we're not even, and I have to take care of my, I do. Sometimes I was like, oh my gosh, God, you can hit me with lightning with this child. Just like when he beat me at Bible trivia in 5th grade. I didn't even know what to do with that. What am I doing wrong? It's not what I'm doing wrong. It's how God's working on each of us in his own time. I mean, I have another story about my daughter was all about princesses, my oldest daughter. So we would do Bible study at night, and she never wanted to do Bible study. She always wanted to read. Cinderella was her favorite princess. And so I'd be like, Kara, if you don't sit down and listen to this Bible study, we are not reading Cinderella tonight. What the heck? Total different. And I have
Mm-hmm.
4 kids at this time, and I have one kid that wants Cinderella. You got to be kidding me. I feel like saying I'm gonna throw out all of Cinderella, and all you're gonna get is God. But I didn't do that to her, right? She had her crowns and princess. That was her big. And the funny thing is, later she became a tomboy, and you'd never catch her in a crown. And so people didn't know that when she went 3-year-old preschool, she wanted to wear a crown. I made her leave it in the car. She would want to go to Sunday school with a crown on. You can't, no. I know other
Right,
parents might let them, but I wasn't gonna have a distraction like that for the children, kids. I'd be like, you can
right.
put it right back on. I'd let her go to the grocery store with a crown on. I'd let her wear a princess dress to the grocery store. But you're not going to go to preschool or Sunday school in a princess dress or a crown.
Right.
You know what I mean? So when you go to
I
school,
hate to cut you off, but I need to get going.
okay.
But we're meeting tomorrow again, right?
Oh, it's already 1.
It is.
That's crazy. We are meeting again tomorrow, and hopefully you can cover more of this. We've had so much one-on-one going back and forth. And let me know if there's any way. Yeah, we'll meet at 11 tomorrow and maybe talk to your husband.
Okay.
His name's what's his name?
Levi.
Levi. Yeah, talk to Levi and see about tomorrow night if you guys could possibly do that. All right, I'm going
Okay.
to mark where we're at in our script here because we're on number 5. So
Okay.
spirituality and transformation. All right.
Awesome.
You have a great afternoon.
Thank
Thank you for
you.
letting me know it was 1. Bye bye.
Take care.